right, here we go. Hey, my name is Louis Randall. I work at Winolo in the San Francisco office as a back-end engineer, and currently I'm working on the marketplace feature team. So our kind of high level, what we do is try to run different experiments and see how they affect the marketplace, how they bring in Winoloers, how they retain Winoloers, and how it affects the overall ecosystem of the marketplace, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's me. So, as far as the events in my life that have brought me currently to where I am today, um, I went to college in Colorado, originally for biology. After graduating, thought I wanted to get into biotechnology or something along those lines, as well as ministry. So I moved out here with a couple of friends. We got involved in some ministry and religious work, and during the time I realized I actually didn't want to get into lab work. Very exciting things, but just not for me. And so I kind of fell into a construction firm, started there as a courier, eventually became a project manager and a survey technician. Well, after some time doing that and the religious work, got to a place where I realized that neither one of those were really where I wanted to settle, that they were both good in between places, but not what I wanted to settle down for. So I spent the next 3 or 4-ish months looking at a bunch of different things, considering whether or not I wanted to go back to school or move or do something. And one of my roommates who had been hounding me for years to learn programming started hounding me again to learn programming, and so I gave it a shot and immediately fell in love with it. It reminds me so much of writing music and of just writing in general, really, all the stylistic bits. And so, yeah, after that, and a couple boot camps and a lot of practicing and learning and applying later, here I am. Okay, difficult decision. Uh, so with regards to what I do when I have to make a difficult decision, I would say there's kind of three things that I lean on. The first is just my own personal compass. Um, the second is people, because I value consistency in myself, and I want to be making decisions in a way that's consistent with who I believe that I am. And so first I'll check it with myself. The second thing is I'll check it with someone else, one of my good friends, and sometimes they'll come back and be like, "Yo, that doesn't sound like you at all," you know. Um, and then I think back through it. The last thing I lean on is history. I really like looking back at my history and the history of my family and just seeing how we've handled these things in the past. I remind myself it's not the first difficult decision I've made, and it won't be the last, and that I've been okay in the times I've made the other ones. And so I like to go back and look at those decisions and see how I decided, why I decided, and what the outcome was. And I'd say between the three of those things, those usually are enough to get me to a place where going into a difficult decision, I feel solid. I feel solid about it. So, yeah. All right. So, one piece of advice I would give to anyone would be to keep track of your history, specifically your accomplishments, your failures as well, but your accomplishments. And the reason I would say that is I found that there's a lot of times in my life where I come up against something that feels kind of insurmountable or like way too big or impossible for me to do. Um, but I can look back and I can see like, okay, I may not have come across this exact thing, but I've come up across against something like this, or I've handled something kind of familiar. And as I look back at where I've been and what I've done, it helps build self-confidence for me, and some reassurance for me that I've got it this time and I can do it again. So, and I think that's kind of the foundation of grit for me. So yeah, I would say to anyone, one piece of advice I'd give is that when you accomplish something big, don't forget about it. Write it down, and don't forget about the work and the effort and how hard it was before you got it. Um, so that'll come back around, and it'll be really good to have those stories. Just kind of build yourself up. And don't forget the bad stuff too. Learn from your failures, but don't use that stuff to tear yourself down. You know. Hmm. If you really knew me, uh, you would know that I'm an introvert. I can be loud and outspoken and pretty energetic, and I get pretty hypey on things sometimes. I've got a lot of energy, but I'm an introvert. Where I'm happiest is out on a beach or out in the woods somewhere, kind of by myself or with a couple people and some music, good food, a beer, and the sunset toss the sunset in there, and I'm golden. Um, but yeah, one one thing that you would know.